Hello, guys, and welcome back to Deep Conversations Only. And today I'm very excited because I have my other sister. I've been kind of showing my sisters in my show now, and I'm very happy to invite them because they're very intelligent people, and there's a lot of information that I feel like I want to share with my community. And everybody, say hi to Nancy. Nancy Quezada. She's actually my twin. So a lot of people don't really know this, but we're twins, fraternal. And she is a nutritionist, and she's a very spiritual person. Actually, she's one of the people that I've met earlier, like in my life, that just kind of took off and started becoming this spiritual person and really changed her life around. And a lot of this, I think, happened. And I think a lot of situations happen that kind of forced you to go into nutrition, and you found, like this career that you found through your spiritual journey. So, so tell us a little bit about that, and how do you think nutrition? There's a lot of people that talk about how nutrition comes hand in hand with spirituality. So it is kind of important that to find a good balanced diet. How does that affect your spirituality in some way?
Yeah, well, definitely I think it is tied. It does go hand in hand because as you can see in different cultures, well, not just cultures, but different religions, like in Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity. I don't know other religions, but I'm sure there's more that it's tied to. And so for me, I experienced it through Christianity. And so I think it does help you clear your mind. And once your mind is a little bit more clear, then you begin to search for this part, that you need, something more in life.
And how would you say, maybe this is kind of like a different question, how would you say, like, what foods do you think might have some sort of blocking with your connection, your spiritual connection?
I don't think there's like some specific food that is the cause to this. I constantly dissect everything in a scientific way, worth to say that this is the cause for this, like there has to be proof, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in this way with lots of logic and reasoning. But obviously, when you type religion, then it's kind of like it's completely different. You can't rationalize religion sometimes. Yeah. But back to your question is that it definitely eating healthy. Obviously, eating natural foods helps you feel better in your body and your energy. Obviously, that's going to translate into everything in your life, from your mind to your spirit to everything. So definitely staying away from unhealthy foods.
Is there like a specific part of the Bible? I know you mentioned you're a Christian, and I've heard you talk about how in some parts of the Bible does God or does Jesus have any how you say it, like any words or any teachings that relate to nutrition? Like what does it say?
Yeah, in the Bible, Moses gave I can't remember, they call it the law, like pretty much what the diet should be. And so it instructs clearly in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy to eat clean foods. So like not eating animals like pig, animals, like it says something about like the hoofed feet or something like that. I don't understand some of like exactly what it says, but I just know it translates into not eating pork.
So like some animals that have the hoof, we're not really supposed to eat them?
Yes. So, and then it says something about like animals that like regurgitate like the food or something like that, like in their throat or their stomach. Mm-hmm. So that translates into that you can't eat like chicken or cow or some animal, but some animals, they don't like digest the food, or something happens in the way they digest it, so you can't eat it. But for sure, I know it's like pig, obviously bat. I mean, thanks to these bats, or supposedly these bats, there's this coronavirus. But not eating, like insects and bugs and stuff like that. Of course, there's locusts, like, John the Baptist ate locusts and honey in the desert when he was alone, fasting. Wow. And yeah, like I can't remember right now at the top of my head. Oh, like shrimp, lobster, all these creatures in the bottom of the ocean are considered unclean. Okay. So therefore, yeah, like, and even though like back then they said it was unclean, but if you think about it, like these things, like these creatures are bottom feeders, mm-hmm. And they clean the ocean. I mean, the ocean is full of poop and decomposed corpse, if you think about it. So these little animals in the bottom of ocean are eating these things, like cockroaches. The shrimps are like the cockroaches of the ocean. And so shrimp, it's very high in cholesterol, actually, and it's not that healthy for you. And as well, pork, people say, oh, well, it's a lean meat, but it's actually also high in, they say it's lean, I'm not sure why, but it is high in cholesterol, and we know that cholesterol is not good for you.
So like if there were to be like a list, which would be like the top 5 animals that you read maybe in the Bible that absolutely we should not eat?
Oh, definitely not pork. Yeah, pork and sea creatures like shrimp and lobsters. Some people will disagree and might say like I'm completely out of my mind. But
I know there's going to be a lot of people wanting to give opinions, but there is a logical explanation.
Yeah. And there's going to be a study that says, no, the Mediterranean diet says that you could eat seafood, or no, this says over here. There's so many contradictory information now that it's overwhelming, and it's really difficult actually now to talk about nutrition. Like it's become like politics and religion. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes difficult because people hold on to dear life to the things that they find on the internet, and they believe it wholeheartedly, and then it's like you can't argue against that. So it's like, okay, you just do you. But me as a Christian, and what I've learned, it does give a list of the animals that you shouldn't eat.
So pork is one of them, shrimp is one of them, lobster. What about say like, what are like the common foods that people eat that we like definitely should not be eating? Like, is cheese okay?
Yeah, cheese is fine. Actually, it does say that don't mix cheese and meat. Like it says something about not cooking the lamb in its milk or something like that. Mm. So actually, Jews, certain like that are like practicing Jews, mm-hmm. like they don't mix meat with cheese or like some milk products that I know of. Not everybody, of course, but some people don't mix them because of what it says in Deuteronomy.
Is there a spiritual meaning why we shouldn't eat these kind of animals, or why we shouldn't mix them? Or is there like something that Jesus said, like specifically, like would it harm our bodies?
I don't specifically recall. I mean, I don't know the Bible, like, word for word, or remember, like I read things and then it's like, I forgot about it. But, in my journey, I don't recall Jesus saying, don't eat this. I mean, he does point out, I think Paul points out like, it doesn't matter if you eat clean or not clean, God still loves you. So even if you don't follow these diets, God still loves you. It doesn't mean you're less of a person, or you're less healthy or whatever. Because people back then in Jesus' time were actually very, and even some people now are huge into like following everything by the book, by what the Bible says, by the law of eating in a certain way and not eating with the Gentiles,
Was Jesus like, I mean, obviously Jesus was a Jew, like was he kosher at?
Well, yeah, definitely he was kosher, but he was eating lamb. He was eating fish. So he wasn't a vegetarian. you know.
Mm.
He did multiply, like he was at some kind of feast or something, and he multiplied the bread, he multiplied the fish. There was like some wedding. So there's
It's not totally against eating like some animals.
yeah, no,
Certain type of
he
animal.
didn't say anything about animals or anything like that, but it does say in Deuteronomy. And in kosher, what that means also is the way they kill the animals. The way the animals are slaughtered, they have to drain the blood. So if they kill the lamb or whatever they kill, the goat, cow, you know, they cut it through the throat and they have to let it bleed. And so then there's a rabbi that comes and prays over it. So the way now that they kill these cows, if you've seen those videos of how they're killed, it's atrocious. It's horrible. Like, you see those videos, they put them in this, I don't even know what that machine is called, but they spin the cow around horribly. They like cut his throat and spin it around and just this blood all over the place. And then the thing is that these animals release all this lactic acid. You know, it's like they're tense and it's in that meat.
They're afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're eating this. I mean, you're eating all that energy, that suffering from that animal. So with the kosherness that I know, I don't know if they exactly do that right now. I don't know what happens in those slaughterhouses, but supposedly, I mean, they give them more of a cleaner death, to say, and drain that blood and not have blood in the meat. And so some people like, you know, their rarely cooked meat and this kind of stuff that still has the blood. The Bible talks about not eating blood.
Wow. So it's basically not being so gruesome with the animals because it's just crazy, like how just by eating an animal. I remember not too long ago, I've been vegetarian, as we all know, for 7-8 years, or maybe some people don't know, but not too long ago, I accidentally ate a pupusa that had pork in it. And when I took a bite in it, I felt like I started feeling like something really weird was happening in my body. And I felt like, I don't know, it was just a really weird experience. And the reason I say this is because I realized how a food, just by consuming it, can make you feel so different.
For sure. And there's also a physiological explanation. I mean, you can think about it in a spiritual way, in a spiritual light, like how you're seeing it, this animal and the life that, you know, it was slaughtered. You can see it like that, or you can see it in a physiological way that, you know, your body was not used to eating animal protein, which actually, by the way, the body doesn't recognize between an animal protein and a plant protein. It's just protein. It just breaks it down into a chemical composition. But there obviously, there's different nutrients in there. And so maybe it was cooked with fat or too much salt or whatever, but the body was probably reacting. It could have been different factors, but it could have been your blood sugars were spiking or different processes that were happening that, you know, you were digesting and that caused you to feel this way, you know? Or you can see it, you know, this animal, you know, was killed and suffered, and now I'm feeling the suffering, you know. You can see in different ways. I try not to judge, and it does say, Paul says, and Jesus says, you know, to if they're clean, if they're eating clean or not clean, it doesn't matter. You know, we're all God's children. You know, God loves us all. He doesn't differentiate if you're a Jew or a Gentile, if you're clean or unclean.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But of course, it does help that, you know, eating in a certain way, it could help. Not necessarily. I mean, you can still eat healthy, and your mind could still be like pretty wacky and crazy, you know, or you're still not a great person, you know, like it's, I think there are different factors, you know, like the whole lifestyle. You could eat very healthy and, you know, in your spirituality, the spirituality might not be there, but it is a door. It is like a stepping stone to get you there, you know?
Because I do realize that, like, for example, for me, my cravings or my personal problem is sugar. So like occasionally I'll have either like a soda or like a chocolate, and some of them contain like tons of sugar. And okay, one thing is like animal products, but then also sugar is like on a whole nother level. And they say that sugar blocks your pineal gland, and sugar makes you have more cravings, and it's just kind of like a uh, basic drug,
Well,
like almost.
they're empty nutrients. It has no nutrients. It's sugar. I mean, where's the nutrient in that? Where's the protein? Where's the fiber? Where are items? There's nothing. It's not nourishing your body. So yeah, you're definitely not gonna feel well. It's gonna like cause an imbalance in your body if you consume way too much of it, for sure.
Do you think it affects at all, like chemically in your brain? Does it affect what you eat, like for example sugars or like meat, red meat? Like, do they affect maybe your mentally, chemically, like the
Yeah,
balance?
for sure. Actually, they say now like that.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear.
Okay. All right. So we're back again. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties right now, but we're back and recording.
So we were talking about, you're telling me, does this affect you chemically in the body, the brain? Yes, it does, for sure. Like I was saying, we have a second brain, and that's in the gut. There's new research now that's coming out, or there already is, that we produce new neurons in the gut. And so if you're not, feeding it the right things, then it's difficult to produce these things, right? It needs certain nutrients from food in order for it to be processed and be converted into a neuron. So for sure.
Okay, I have a random question. What do you think? I read somewhere that some of the maybe geniuses throughout history were vegans or vegetarians. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so you told me this question. You had this question about Albert Einstein, and I don't know all the geniuses out there that are vegetarians. I mean, probably like the modern ones. I think like Mark Zuckerberg or some of those new billionaires. I'm sure are vegetarian, but like you were saying, Albert Einstein.
Actually, I'm gonna name. I have a list actually. Albert Einstein. Okay. Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, Gandhi, Thomas Edison, Sir Isaac Newton. They were all vegan, actually.
Yeah, well, there is those claims. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I did read a little bit on the internet, and Albert Einstein, he was a vegetarian, I think, the last year of his life. It wasn't his whole life, due to he had some sicknesses that he did find himself needing to eat like some meats, because he had like jaundice or something where like your liver doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And he had some digestive issues. But he said that, I saw some quote or something that he said that he always felt guilty. He felt guilty when he would eat it. He would feel
that's crazy.
Wrong.
Like that was like, I mean, he lived almost a century ago, so it's crazy that someone back in those days would be so conscious about the animals.
Yeah, I mean, there might be all these great minds, but there was also Hitler. Hitler was also a vegetarian.
Or really? I didn't know. That's crazy.
So,
well, people say, like, I mean, some people have like contradictive opinions about him.
But he was a smart guy. Even though he was the most evil guy, but just taking out, like, moving aside, I know it was horrible. Maybe this comment might really aggravate some people, but when you think about it, I mean, to have the capacity to persuade so many people and do the movement that he was doing. I mean, it started out, it seems like something good that he was doing for his country, because they were in a depression.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to get out of it. And so it seems like, you know, and then obviously it went wrong, but he was also a smart guy. Even though he was evil, it takes intellect as well to be a leader, you know, and to move so many.
I mean, he was definitely a smart, influential person throughout history. Like, I mean, just to be able to accomplish all those bad things, I mean, you have to have been like some mastermind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it does help, but I mean, I don't like to like, yes, vegetarians have some great attributes and accomplished people that live this lifestyle, but it's well the other lifestyle. You know, I don't like to put down or shame people that are not, you know. I try to kind of play the devil's advocate in both, especially being a nutritionist. You know, you gotta like be open to everybody's diets and lifestyles, and from there trying to help people to find a balance, you know, because it's not for everybody. And yes, like Gandhi, I'm sure he was a vegetarian, because in Hinduism a lot of people, not everybody, are also vegetarian or Buddhists. But in my travels, I met a lot of people who are, you know, part of these religions or practice these religions, but don't follow the diet either. So it's, you know, it's not like completely attributed specifically to certain religions, like, because you know, it could happen, you know, people decide to go a different path, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, it's nothing wrong with choosing either. But yes, I would say it does help. There is a connection for sure. I think just the moment that you make the choice to eat healthy, to wake up and have that, you know, willpower, that desire to eat healthy, you're just making that conscious decision just opens up the opportunity to, you know, to do another one. And then like, oh, you know, I eat healthy for breakfast, let me eat healthy for lunch, and then for dinner and for my snack. How about now I exercise? How about now I, you know, work on that project that I've been wanting to work on? How about I go help somebody, you know? And it's a snowball effect. They say like when you wake up, like as soon as you wake up, make your bed, because doing that just sets you for the day, because you feel accomplished.
Like, yeah, so it puts your mind into perspective, and it puts you towards like a certain mission, I guess, like, or puts you in a positive state.
And being vegetarian or vegan, pescatarian or lacto-ovo vegetarian, whatever, flexitarian, just being, you know, within this kind of lifestyle, you have to make conscious decisions. You know, you can't just be acting and like whatever, eating whatever you want. Obviously, you have to be like checking the labels, checking the menu when you go to the restaurant or you go to somebody's house. You have to ask, hey, what's for dinner? What's in that dish? You already are, just by deciding that you are already aware of what's going in your body, and you're more than likely to care about what goes in your body. And then from then and on, you start caring about what you feed your mind, you know, and who you surround yourself with.
And I think it is very important, like the first thing that you do and throughout the day. Like for me, the first thing I'm practicing is either like a meditation, or I've been doing Kundalini yoga. And I find myself that like I can't have like this huge meal or like this heavy meal while I'm doing these things, because I'm not able to concentrate, you know. So it's also like trying to find, for me, like my breakfast is actually a banana and a smoothie, because I'm doing like all these kind of things that kind of set the mood or the tone for the day, that if I have a full stomach, I just can't concentrate.
And it makes completely sense, because all the oxygen, it just goes all your blood, goes all the way down to your gut and is digesting. So you don't have any oxygen flowing through your brain. The blood has oxygen, and the blood flows and goes all the way to your brain and everywhere. And so if you have this big meal, whatever it is, it's just going to all drop to your stomach. And that's why you feel like brain fog, or you feel tired or whatever right after you eat, because all your blood is going down to your stomach and your digestive system to digest it. So it makes sense that you're not feeling as alert as well to do yoga, to meditate, to pray. For sure.
So you mentioned earlier about your travels. Most people don't know that you actually lived in China, and you lived there for how many years?
Yeah, my husband and I lived there for 2 years. It was back in 2011, I think. It was a while ago. It's almost going to be 10 years. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. 2 years in China and 1 year in Malaysia.
That's awesome. And a lot of people should check out Nancy's YouTube because she has a lot of videos kind of just showing different parts of the world. And she went to, I mean, a lot of people dream to go to these places because they're so exotic to us because we're like on this side of the world, and Asia is basically, it takes so much time to get there. And I wanted to ask you, like, was there something that you saw, or like, first of all, like, what did you think about the food? Because I'm sure it was so different at the beginning to adjust from Mexican or American food to all of a sudden, like, what did you see? That I know, like, I've heard so many crazy stories about the food, and well, I was there too, so I saw a couple of things that were just kind of like so crazy.
Yeah, definitely the food was interesting. I'm right now not a vegetarian. I'm not a practicing vegetarian. I'm flexitarian. I just pretty much go with my intuition. But most of the time it's vegetarian. Here and there, if I'm not feeling well, I'll eat some animal protein. But anyways, going back to that subject, so I was a vegetarian then, more strict. And so it was difficult to find food because there's a lot of pork and a lot of seafood in the dishes, and also cooking, with pork lard, like in our, Mexican cuisine, which was also difficult for me every time when I would come back home from college. I didn't know what to eat. It was so tough going to restaurants. And back then, when I became a vegetarian, like many years ago, almost 15 years ago, it was hard to find food. But in China, yeah, it was. They did have a lot of tofu. One thing I did appreciate was they're very creative with their vegetables. Mm-hmm. So there was definitely a lot of options for eating veggies. And precisely because of that, I started to open up to eating different things, like eating chicken, because I was constantly just eating like rice and noodles. That's just super starchy. And I was like, I need to eat something else. Like, I can't just always eat this because this is the only vegetarian.
And they eat rice with everything. And it's just funny because, like, they're so skinny and they eat rice, like, with every meal. So it's like they eat carbs.
But they walk a lot. I mean, over there, they use a lot of public transportation, and they have the best public transportation, honestly, in my opinion, in the world. It's very convenient. I mean, we use the public transportation. I would walk everywhere. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the food was great. Yeah, there was some weird things, and the great thing about being vegetarian, it's a great way to be like, I'm a vegetarian, sorry, I can't eat that. And in Chinese culture, they feel like offended, like, well, of course, in many cultures, they would feel offended, like, you don't eat what they invite you
they
to.
Offer you.
And over there, they would pride in their dishes and, where they take you, where they invite you. And they would invite us to these luxurious restaurants and like have like shark soup and alligators and like completely fried little birds, like sparrows. Cucumber. I ate a sea cucumber. The only thing I ate was a sea cucumber. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's like this nasty, ugly, like slimy thing. So I did eat that. Huh?
Is it like an eel or like what is it?
No. It's just like a sea urchin kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just an organism. Like it doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. It's just.
So that's the craziest thing you ate when you were traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I ate. And the thing is, when we would go to these dinners, they were like, "You're just gonna eat rice?" Like they couldn't understand that I was a vegetarian. I'm like, I was like super frustrated. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm vegetarian." Like, no, thank you. And so you know, they were like, like what? Like you're just gonna eat rice and vegetables or tofu? Like for them, like when they invite you, they want to like invite you to all these expensive meats and varieties, and they pride themselves, like I said, it's a pride for them. And so like saying no, it was tough.
So really
So
quick,
no, I didn't.
what countries did you visit?
Well, in Southeast Asia, Philippines, Indonesia, Brunei, of course, Malaysia lived there, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, the Maldives, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, Korea, Taiwan.
Wow. Basically anything exotic, you were there.
We did go to Myanmar or Burma. Yeah, there's a few countries that we didn't visit, or India, of course. We did a lot of them. Wish we could have done more.
Was there like a unique experience and during your travels as far as nutrition, like something that you saw that, or maybe something spiritual that you encountered while traveling?
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting to see, you know, people's food. I think one of the most interesting foods was Borneo in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this, I don't remember the Ringus or Rungus tribe. I can't even pronounce the name, but we went to this tribe's village. It was like a longhouse. They call them longhouses built out of bamboo. And so they were living out in the jungle, and they had a really nice meal for us. And everything that they served was from the land and like from their surroundings, like not far. So, and it was a lot of it vegetarian. And so they gave us like bamboo and all these like vegetables and leaves that were from the jungle, and made like these really nice like stews or curries. It was delicious. So that was one. There were so many.
You like staying in the jungle, or were you staying like at a hotel?
Well, we were staying in a hotel, and we went there for the day. It was a day trip to go visit the tribe and go have a meal with the tribe. And so we went there, danced with the tribe. What?
What country was this?
This was in Borneo in Malaysia.
Malaysia. Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Borneo. And so the interesting thing I did there, they play the flute with their nose. So I was able. It was kind of weird, but I tried to play the flute with my nose. That didn't go well.
I think I saw a video on your YouTube of you trying to play that.
There's a little clip on there on my travel video.
That's so funny.
Yeah, another place that was very like spiritual that I felt, you know, a connection was in Sri Lanka. Yeah, Sri Lanka, they're very big on Ayurveda. Don't ask me too much about Ayurveda because I don't remember that much, but it's basically like a lifestyle, like a holistic, medicinal kind of approach to life and to diet.
Yeah.
And so we went to like some kind of little hotel spa that they had like Ayurvedic food and like an Ayurvedic treatment. Like they put me like inside like kind of like a barbecue whatever, like I don't know what to explain it, like
a grill, barbecue grill.
Yeah, exactly. I was on a grill, like a huge grill, and they opened this barbecue thing. I laid down, and underneath there was a bunch of coals with all these leaves. I don't know what kind of leaves they were, some kind of sage or I don't know. Lay down, obviously in a towel with nothing underneath, and they closed it, and it was like right here up to my neck. And I was like this, like I'm like, oh my goodness, like all you could see out was my head. Like I felt like those like magic shows, like where they're gonna chop the lady in half or something. And I was like, oh man, like this is like weird. What the heck? So I was sweating in there, and that was pretty cool. I could put all the leaves, medicinal leaves, you know, once my pores were opening so they could absorb all the nutrients. So that was pretty cool. Then we had some massages there. Like I said, the meals, I can't remember, but it was, a lot of it was vegetarian, like all these delicious vegetables with spices, and I don't know, it was just amazing. And everybody there just seemed super spiritual. And when we went, it was like Buddha's birthday or something going on, like in the entire country. there was constantly like music, kind of like monastery music blasting in the speakers. And we went to visit all the like shrines, and I don't know, I felt a connection, you know, like even though I'm a Christian, I'm pretty open to like, I accept, you know, and seeing, I like seeing the way other people practice their faith. It's beautiful. There's so much
totally
to learn.
agree. Like I'm the kind of person that like if there's something there, because you can feel it. You can feel when there's like some sort of energy, or there's something
beautiful.
like you feel a presence. So I'm also a Christian, like, but it's nice to witness other people's like spirituality.
I really love to see other people like exercise their faith. It's so beautiful. I feel like for me, like I'm a little bit of like I shy away from being a Christian. Like I feel scared to call myself sometimes Christian, because right away, you know, people are like put you in a box and be like, yeah, right away it's like you gotta, you know, act in a certain way, speak a certain way, and if you don't do this and that,
or live up to certain standards that people expect.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't like this title. You know, you know, I not even feel like I'm a practicing Christian sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm like not the best Christian either. So I just, you know,
and it's okay. It's okay, and it happens to a lot of people. It just not just because you label yourself or call yourself a certain religion doesn't mean that you have to live up to people's expectations. You know, like you are not what you do. Like, I mean, you're in the right to change your mind at any point.
And I feel like, you know, from people from long ago that knew me, you know, as a teenager, as a crazy, wild teenager, right? You know, and when I came back, you know, all of a sudden from my college or my studies, and I would come back and I'm like, oh, I'm a Christian, I got baptized. They're like, what? You know, people, I feel like I lost so many friends. It was a really hard time for me when I became a Christian, and when I decided to become a vegetarian. Actually, I became a vegetarian first after I became a Christian. And so it was really tough for me every time I'd come back, actually, even with, you know, I didn't feel a connection. Because we were like in a, you know, different like phase in our life.
Was there a reason why you decided to become a vegetarian?
Well, because at that time I was going through like I had panic attacks and depression. And it was obviously due to the lifestyle that I was living. You know, you were a part of my lifestyle back then, you know, like partying, going out. And that took a toll on my body. Like I started to feel weak. I would pass out, have panic attacks. And so then my dad, he took me to the lifestyle center there in Montemorelos, and I was there for 10 days in their program. And I remember my brother and my dad or everybody was like, oh, they brainwashed you, and what's wrong with you? Because I came out, I'm like, I'm vegetarian, and they're like, what? And so in this program, they teach me how to eat vegetarian food. And I was like, this is perfect. I could eat this. I have no problem eating this. And so I was just there for 10 days, and that was it. Like, it changed my life. I was like, wow, like I feel really good eating healthy, going to sleep early, exercising. Like, I was like, this is so simple. Like, the therapist that was there with me, she's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. And I had all my pills, like my depression pills, and she grabbed them, threw them in the trash. She's like, there's nothing wrong with you. You need to stop. You just need to change your life. It was so simple. And I was like, what? I'm like, really? There's nothing wrong with me.
But that's awesome though, because most psychologists or most therapists will want to give you like prescription pills for something, or at least here in the United States, that's how it is.
She was an angel, because she took it and threw it in the trash. She's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. I sat there and told her my life. She's like, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to stop. And I was like, wow. It was that, and it hit me, and I was like, and it was just like my mind just
maybe sometimes you just need to hear from somebody else, because maybe a lot of things we kind of live through it very very intensely, but maybe on the outside there's nothing much going on, but inside you're like, you know, like going crazy. But it's really a lot of it's internally.
Exactly. And so then after that, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I ran with it. And that's when I decided to go back to school and study nutrition. And I feel like I'm always finding myself telling this story, and I keep saying this because sometimes I try to like push away from nutrition because sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough or my diet is not good enough to be a nutritionist or to advise people because maybe I'm not like in the best shape. Like right now, I'm not the best shape. So like right now I'm not practicing as a nutritionist. And so it's also been a journey also with the whole nutrition with me. And that's where it started for me. I became super passionate about it. I was like super healthy, like just eating amazingly in the best top shape of my life. And then kind of slowly like, kind of, you know, just up and down, which is fine, you know.
But we all go through it. Like, I think maybe it's also good to show people, like, for example, I've been thinking about maybe like posting a picture of me just how I am without like the sexy clothing, or, you know, because there's just so many people that are posting pictures and we just look up to all these people that that they don't understand that these people who might be like influencers, they've been working out maybe for their whole lives, and this is what their life revolves around: nutrition and dieting and exercising, which is not realistic to most people. Most people have to work, study, have a job, and have a full-time job, and then have other duties at home, and etc. So people are like kind of suffering mentally by thinking that we have to live to these expectations that are just unobtainable, and they probably can be obtainable, but the point is also I think we also need to share ourselves like just how we are, and that it's okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's so much social pressure. Even for me, I fall for it too, you know, like with the pressure of seeing, you know, other people looking great shape. I'm like, oh, what happened to me? But, you know, it's okay. You know, we just got to first accept ourselves. It starts with accepting ourselves, loving ourselves, and then all of that will just come naturally.
Well, time is kind of flying by, and so our time's almost up. Is there maybe like a message that you want to share to the public, something that can help them in their life spiritually and in their health, nutrition wise?
Yeah, for sure. You know, don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat up yourself. It's okay if you ate fries or you ate a burger or a pizza, as long as you get back up again, you know, in the next meal or the next day, get back up again and eat healthy again. It's fine. You know, it's not a competition. It's not a race. It's your life. It's your journey. You decide. You decide what you put in your body. Don't feel guilty. You know, it's okay. It's all going to be okay. And it's just take it one step at a time every day.
Thank you so much. Well, guys, if you want to look at some of Nancy's travel videos, follow her on her YouTube channel, Nancy Quezada, and stay tuned for more. Thank you, Nancy, very much for giving this great conversation. And please make sure to like this video, share with your friends, and make sure to comment. Tell us what you think about our opinions. We want to hear from you. I'm sure Nancy wants to hear from you too. So
yeah. Also,
if you have questions for her, feel free to put in the comment, and we'll try to get back to you and answer the questions as well.
I was going to say, can I plug in my Instagram? Please follow me.
yeah, go for it.
Follow me. No, I'm kidding. No, follow me. I post a lot of good stuff for parenting and motivational in my Instagram stories. So follow me at Nancy I Quezada, and there will be a link there with all my places where you can follow me. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. And thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you guys, and I'll make sure to put Nancy's link here on the bottom on the description. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Love you. Thank you, Nancy.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.